Okay, I squirted it with a little WD-40. We'll just pop it out of the factory hangers. Cut this 5.3 Chevy down. There's that one. There. I'm going to stop for a second because I'm going to cut down the tailpipe. Then we're going to leave this one in the hanger. We're going to go all the way up here and cut off. I always cut it between the head of the 2-bolt flange, so it gives us a little more room for a pulse chamber. And these were a high failure rate anyway, but it's only 2 3/4, and we want the 3-inch side. Bigger's better. And boop. We're just going to slide our pulse chamber up over the factory exhaust and get in here nice and level. All I need is one little spot to steady me. You like it? All I need is one little spot. Like it? Okay. And then you'll notice on the instruction sheet, because we go above the cross member, if it's looking like this, number 70 goes to the inside, and then we're going to measure from the rear end housing to this head pipe is going to be 36.5 inches, 36.5 inches, because we make the head pipes long so it covers all applications: 2 doors, 4 doors, 3 doors, long bed, short bed. And on our pipe, we've handwritten number 70 inlet. So this goes up into the pulse chamber. And the reason this is all the way it is, so we miss our cross member. Because we're going to roll it up slightly so it has nice and parallel on the chassis. And we can index it with a nice air gap. How do we look, Kinzer? Got to go up a little.
The front will come down just a skosh. That's on.
So then now we're going to measure 36.5 inches like our instruction sheet. This is head pipe number 70, the inboard one. So we're going to go from the rear end housing, 36.5 is right there. I'm going to verify. 36.5. I'm going to mark it here and make sure I'm not buried in there a mile, but I shouldn't be. I'm going to go trim this back so we get the proper length for our head pipes. So now that I got that set up, got a fat finger's width between the cross member, got to point it exactly straight back where I like it. I'm going to give it a couple spots. We set our mufflers, turbo type mufflers on this particular truck. Okay, then on our instructions we give you a second dimension. From the rear end housing to the case of the muffler, from the rear end housing to the case, we want to be 21.5 inches. So we're going to verify that. We're a little too far on. 21.5 inches. That's from the rear end housing to the casing muffler. We don't care about the nipple. And I want it nice and straight up and down. I'm going to give it a couple spots. Okay, my couple spots turned into 3. So now that we got that one all set, our second head pipe, which is part number 71, I marked inlet because the back's longer, obviously. So it slides up over this cross member, slides back into our pulse chamber, and this is going to determine our length again because we're just going to match up side A with side B. We're going to whittle it off right there because we've already set our dimensions of 36.5 inches. So we're just going to whittle that off. I'll be right back. The reason these are so specific to each other, this one has 10 degrees more bend than this one, and the distance between the first bend and the second bend are longer because we're going to kind of dog leg it up and over the cross member, but we're above the cross member instead of below the cross member. GM couldn't figure that one out. They did that on all their gassers and diesels and all of them. And we're gonna get our second turbo muffler. Offset inlets again. From the side spot our outlets when we're parallel.
Down a little bit. Down a little bit. There.
I'm going to put just a tiniest spot. When this is all properly installed, you have a tight finger over the cross member and a tight finger between the heat shield. The factory hanger, we're going to reuse this factory hanger to support all this. And also, we're going to put a little spot weld between those two pipes, just like we're going to spot weld it on the inlet, the two cases together. I got a little spot weld, and we moved it a couple times because it's got to be on the nuts because all of our clearance. So once it's in, it's good. So you got to fuss with it, and it's going to look a little bead here and stuff, but it's all above the cross member, so anybody that goes off-road and doesn't drag the head pipes. And then we're going to come back before I start to finish weld or anything, add more spot welds. We're going to take our tailpipe. This particular truck is behind the tire, so I'm going to slip my head or my tailpipe in and get it up in position. It's going to hang on the inside of the hanger and make sure I have good shock clearance, which I got a way good shock clearance. And then we'll use the factory hanger here. So all the factory hangers on the right hand side we reutilize, and then we're going to put an 07 hanger up here. We'll update it here, and that's provided for you in the kit. So all the right side hangers are factory, and then we put an 07 hanger with an 09 update. It's in your parts list. So I'm going to get up and get this position on my other tailpipe, make sure everything's where I want, because you have to fuss with it. And basically, the inboard head pipe indexes a little bit to the inside, and then the inboard one comes through there. We end up with our gap, and everything's nice and parallel. It does look funky up front, but we got it above the cross member, and we won't have any rattles. Let me get some spots on all this. 2¼ back. Oh, there's the sink. Be okay. Plus this one's got a wrinkle in it, huh?
Yeah.
We got good shock clearance. Got good clearance on our shock absorber. Ooh, a blind man, where did you see that? This truck has quite a bit of rust on it. We're nice and inboard of the tires. Make sure we're pulling down the middle of the pipe. Go back just a little bit. Well, it's easy, you know, Grandma says it's easier to cut it off than it is to weld it on. And she was a riveting Rosie from World War II. She was an actual shipbuilder. That's true. She ran a cutting course building battleships. McMinnville, Oregon.
Really? That's cool.
Okay, we're gonna set side B, which 2 pieces, because I can't get it all in a box. We have an axle pipe and a turnout. Our axle pipe is flared, so we can make a joint up behind the spare tire. Slip it up in place. And we're gonna take our turnout. If you notice, the seam is always on the bottom of all of our pipes. All of our tailpipes seams are bent down. So we're going to take and slip it up in position and point it out. Let's go get a measurement. So we make sure we're pointing right out the same spot, both sides. We are going to be 11.5. And we're going to go up here. And 11.5. We're just gonna put a little tweak. Oh yeah. Now I need a spot. And 11.5. Go ahead. How's our clearance on our top of our bed on our axle pipe? 2.5. Okay. Give me 3. I'm gonna trim this off. And I'm gonna trim some off the tailpipe. I'll be right back. Actually, I need to come down. How's that look from the side? Yep. On the bucket list? And then measure my 11.5. Measure from bend to bend to make sure we're square on the tire. Go back. Yeah, give me one on the inside by the rear end job. Go down a little bit. You either never cuss or you have just like 30 seconds where it's just bleeped out.
Just let
There's
her go.
no Sounds like Ron White and them Forrest You know what I feel like every time? Oh, yeah. This truck must come from back east. You see the spring shackles?
Yeah. Super rust.
Well, we've completed our exhaust system on our 99 to 07 5.3 liter. We're just going to do a quick overview. The spare tire stays in the same location. Somebody asked me that the other day. No, but it is two-piece. So there's our weld joint. We make it accessible. We welded all of our joints, welded all of our hangers, and then it does two things. When you go back and pin everything, it assures you got both sides welded. Checked our welds here. Once again, it is a challenge to get this above the cross member. That's why we specifically mark part number 70, part number 71. You have to fuss with it. It pretty much comes straight up and over, rotates in a little bit, then the second pipe comes all the way in and kisses the first pipe. That's why we spot welded here and here, but it clears and it doesn't have anything protruding underneath the cross member, so you don't drag it. And then it's a little kitty wampus coming out of here, but that's the only way we can get it to clear in 2 1/4 inch duals. And once again, like I said, when you weld this front part, it's easy enough to weld from the top down here, but a little tech tip, reach over the top and you can weld from the top all the way down on this side. Instead of trying to stick your hand up between the sway bar, or excuse me, the torsion bar, you can just reach over the frame. They left us all this room, and it makes it real easy to weld the pulse chamber to the factory head pipe. So there it is. We're gonna go do a little sound test with it for you. So we just completed putting a catback system on this 5.3 liter. I think this is an 03 Chevy pickup, 99 to 07. We fired it up, and sure enough, it's got a broken exhaust manifold bolt. It's located all the way back here in the rear port of the head. Because of the excessive back pressure in the stock system, they create underhood heat. We've tested it with a pyrometer just like you would a diesel, drill a hole, tapped it on a dyno. The manifold temperature will get up to 1190 degrees. So we put a catback system on that truck we were testing that day. Went out and retested it. It only dropped at about 140, 150 degrees of manifold temperature, which I thought, I was hoping for more to make manifolds live. But at least it got it down closer to 1,000 degrees temperature instead of 1,200 degrees. So if you experience that exhaust leak in the morning, that tick, 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 and as it warms up, goes away, you got broken manifold bolts. Some of my customers, when they buy a brand new truck, will put an exhaust system on, run them over 100,000 miles, and never break a manifold bolt because it helps get rid of the underhood temperature on your vehicle.